Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pedo.
Pat O. I'm going to ask you about your weekend, but not yet. It is Frogman Festival week.
It is. It sure is, Ashers.
It's time.
The
I am doing something really ballsy, and I'm kind of nervous about it.
Ooh, what are you doing?
Maybe a little cocky. So I'm speaking, right? As you all know, I'm
Uh-huh.
speaking at the Frogman Festival. And
Saturday, March 4th, and at the Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Mason, Ohio.
in Mason, Ohio. You definitely want to be there. I really can't say it enough. This is going to be the event of the year. You don't want to miss it. I'm speaking there, and I was asked to do kind of a more personal talk, right? Jeff wanted me to like share like my story of like, how I got into the Mothman research, why the Mothman, this, that, and the other, because it is steeped in high strangeness, and I understand some people might think it's interesting. So I do have a Mothman presentation that when I talk at these things, which some of you know that I give, right? It's pretty standard. It's just basically the history, pretty point pleasant heavy up until the current day. I share my
Mm-hmm.
Mothman encounter, and then I ask, I take questions, right? Talk about John Keel a little bit, take questions. I'm not doing that this time. I'm not going to have any presentation whatsoever. It's just going to be me standing up there talking. And I'm a little nervous, but I think I'm good at it, right? I mean, you guys are here listening to me talk. I must be okay, and we're not scripted, so um, we'll see how it goes, right? I mean, I should have the information. I should know the information. It was my life. I lived it, right? So I think I'm just gonna make like a little card, right? Like a cue card. I am, and take it up there with me, and just fucking go with it. What do you think? Do you think that's a career suicide?
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far. I have done things many different ways before. I have the problem with over preparing for a speech is that if you try to memorize it, unless you have a really good memory, you're going to forget shit. And that is probably a problem that we both share based on our drug abuse stories. So I would say definitely side on speaking extemporaneously, which is off the cuff, but have points that you want to hit, have talking points that you want to go over, have some key phrases and key lines of dialogue memorized or that you're familiar with. And yeah, I mean, kind of go up there and know what you're going to do, but don't read off cue cards because that seems rehearsed and hackney, and no one wants to sit there and look at you struggle through reading for 45 minutes, right? Um, so don't do that. Just talk, but have an idea what you're going to say, and
But what if I
practice.
blank? So I'm gonna have one card that's just gonna have a very basic timeline of events. It'll just be like, talk about this, talk
Well,
about this, you know.
you practice and you practice with a stopwatch because the whole thing is you got to fill. What do you guys have? 45 minutes each.
Yeah.
All right, and you want to leave time at the end for questions.
Sure.
So you're going to want to talk about 35 minutes. And I would say come up with, get your note card. Okay, fine. That's your cheat sheet. And then talk for 35, get a stopwatch and try it and see
Because
how it
that's all the
goes.
presentation is. All it is it's just a picture of points, right? That I make sure that I don't miss while I'm talking about these things. I know this subject like the back of my hand, right? I know that presentation like the back of my hand. But that's all it is. There's not anything. There's no glitz or glam or videos or anything extra added into it. It's just, again, it's for me. It's not really even for the audience. So I'm gonna forgo it, and I'm going to make myself the center of attention because I am not enough the center of attention for this event, clearly.
Well, remember this is what you want. Like this is if it doesn't feel right or if you want to, I'm not saying back out of it. I'm definitely not saying that. Don't worry, Jeff. I'm not trying to talk her out of it. But I think that this is, this is something that professionally is, and I know you've done this before, but this is what you're moving towards. This is what you want to do. So remember that. You're up there because you want to be there and because this is what you want to do. And people give you opportunities to do this, and that's why you get up and do it. And if at any point it stops being something that you want to do, then don't do it anymore. Right. But as long as this is still something professionally that you want to do with yourself, then this is it. This is the job. This is the work.
Oh, I
Everything's
don't
theory.
mind getting on the stage and talking to people.
Yeah. So
What
then
I'm
don't worry about
saying
it.
is I'm not worried about it like that. What I'm
Okay.
saying is that I don't think you understand. It's okay. I'm just saying that I'm doing something that a lot of people don't do typically when they give these types of talks at these events. Most of them have some type of PowerPoint presentation in the background. I'm not going to have one. Mine is
Oh,
completely unscripted. It's just me getting up there being completely me because I am sharing my experience with everybody. It's a very personal, a very intimate talk that I'm giving at the Frogman Festival. That's okay though. So you don't want to miss it. That's the point.
okay.
Um, that's okay. um, yeah, it'll be a great time. Again, I will be just kind of, sharing the story of me, and then also some other, things, of course, encounters and things that I've come across, along the way, just to kind of make the story a little bit more interesting in case you thought it wasn't interesting enough. So it'll be tons of fun. Other people will be there too, though, giving tons of talks. Tobias Whalen's also going to cover the Lake Michigan Mothman. If you're here mostly for Mothman stuff, and that's what you want, you're going to get a double doser of the same topic, but different
Hmm.
areas. Um, Tons of other people too, with all kinds of fun things. So you don't want to miss it. You want to be
Heather
there.
Mosier, Aaron Shaw, Jessica
Mhm.
Jones, Dee Elliott, Bo Mills, and James Willis,
Yeah,
rounding out the roster for this year's Frogman Festival, Saturday, March 4th, 2023, at the Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Mason, Ohio.
I like everybody except for one person. You guys can fight over who that might be.
It's me.
It is. It's Pato. Hey, you guessed it. So I'm excited. But you know what? We'll cover a little bit more about that. Hey, after it happens during next week's How Was Your Weekend talk. Pato, how was your
Yeah.
weekend?
This weekend it was all right. I'm getting over a cold, which is kind of noticeable. I know I sound a little sick. I listened to one of the many podcasts that I recorded yesterday, and you can tell I just sound nasally. So yeah, that's no fun. But one of the good things about getting sick last week, it started like around Wednesday, Thursday, is that I know it'll be completely out of my system for Frogman. So I will be at 100% operating capacity. My immune system will have rebounded and rallied, and I will go into that weekend with a full head of steam, healthy, full of antibodies and shit, and ready to get fight off con sickness from all the great unwashed masses that will be flooding our table buying our merch. So that was this week. I just kind of I hung out. I did the family thing because I'm not going to be here next weekend. Because where am I going to be? I'm going to be at Frogman Festival Saturday, March 4th, at Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Mason, Ohio. Because I will be there next weekend. I will not be with my children, so I spent plenty of time with my children this weekend, with the exception of yesterday, where I recorded an episode of Conspire Theory with Chris Holm, two episodes of Y2K, one on Cocaine Bear, which I know you saw this weekend.
Hmm.
That episode is already available on the Y2K podcast network. And then recorded an episode, a Godzilla double feature with editor in chief of Paranormally Magazine, Aaron Dees. And him and Daniel are huge Godzilla fans. So I was just a fly on the wall for that conversation. But one good thing came out of it. I'm gonna track down a copy of it's Godzilla versus the Giant Shrimp. It's like Godzilla versus Ibra Horror of the Deep or something. They mentioned that, and it caught my interest, and I'm gonna try to track that down.
Which Godzilla movies did you cover?
We did Shin Godzilla,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I was not aware of this, but Shin Godzilla was written and directed by the motherfucker that did Evangelion. And I have made no secret about my love for Evangelion. It is one of my favorite things mankind has ever produced, next to my children. Evangelion is the fucking pinnacle of storytelling and anime or just anything. It's up there, right? And that guy, I didn't know this, but he did Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Well, he wrote
Mhm.
Shin. So they hired this guy to do this trilogy of reboots, and it was Shin Godzilla, which he wrote and directed. He wrote Shin Ultraman. Someone else directed it, and then he wrote and directed Shin Kamen Rider, which is coming out like in the spring, which is another Japanese franchise, which is about like a cyborg kid or something. So I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was this trilogy that he had done. And I had seen Shin Godzilla before, just because it was so celebrated when it came out. But to rewatch it, knowing that it was this guy was behind it, like was made it very exciting to watch again, and it made me love that movie more. And then the other one we did was Godzilla versus Megaguirus, which is a 2000 came out in the year 2000, and it was Godzilla versus like giant locusts, and it's very 90s and very goofy and wacky and fun. You know what I mean? It
Well,
was a good counterpoint to Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is a very unique take on the Godzilla
yeah, that's
franchise.
not normal Godzilla.
Yeah, and it's good, and I like it,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like there's scenes where like you see them setting up copy machines and makeshift office space. Like you don't. It's all about the human beings on the government side of things trying to. It's an allegory for the Fukushima disaster, right? And government response to disasters and bureaucracy and all that stuff. So there's no little kids in it. There's no singing. It's not Godzilla versus another weird monster. It's just Godzilla and the government officials trying to respond to it efficiently and all of that stuff. And Megaguirus is like what you would expect from Godzilla. Like there's children in it. There's it's your stereotypical Godzilla, but it was a lot of fun. So it was nice to be a fly on the wall and listen to those two nerds talk about Godzilla shit, because I'm not like anti Godzilla, but I'm not like that. But I want to. They mentioned a lot of stuff that I've seen like Destroy All Monsters, and I feel like the big ones. I've seen all the legendary Godzilla movies, but I mean, how many movies are there? There's like 30 plus
Oh
movies
my
there.
god, there's so many.
Yeah,
And then it just it's but and that's just Godzilla. Like then the other fucking monsters have their own fucking movies and it's like
right. I was kind of because I grew up because I discovered MST3K very early on, and they used to show the Gamera movies a lot,
oh yeah.
and so I was more familiar with Gamera, right? And I never really Godzilla was that whatever, but Gamera, Friend of All the Children, was like just cheesy enough, and I kind of gravitated more towards that. So I missed a lot of the Godzilla stuff, and listening to them go back and forth. And those are two dudes that really know their shit about it. Like I was surprised at like how fast they were recalling the plot lines of 30 plus fucking Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
Like they know that shit. Like I could talk about comic books or I could talk about punk rock. Like I have subjects that I could do that on, but I've never met people that I respected that talked about Godzilla like that. And I was just like, good for you guys. Holy shit. Like, like they know all of it.
Yeah.
And like I said, Ibra, the giant shrimp, and I guess there's a big ass condor in it. They were describing it to me and I was like, I'm tracking this down. Because a lot of it, I mean, they've been doing it since the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that when
Oh
the
yeah.
first Godzilla came out? So like there was the 60s and 70s era that was like really out there and weird and shit. And it sounds like some of those are worth tracking down, just to see how the franchise evolved throughout the decades. So that episode's not coming out for a while. And then the other thing I recorded yesterday, was our Weird World Hawaii,
Oh yes.
which
Oh yeah.
Patreon members can listen to this Wednesday.
We got into a great discussion about pineapple pizza.
Yes, we did.
Pat
we
O
must.
has a family curse tied to Hawaii. If you want to
I,
find out what it is,
yeah.
you gotta listen to Weird World Hawaii.
Or you can surprise me at our booth at the Frogman Festival, Saturday, March 4th, 2023, at the Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Mason, Ohio, where I will be selling copies of my book, Four Short Films by Pat O'Sullivan, previously published via Kindle, and I recently had it reformatted and transferred to paperback using Amazon's KDP service. So you can buy copies online via Amazon, but they're a little bit more expensive. If you see me at the festival, you can get them for $5 each. Buy multiple copies in case you want to read it more than once. and it's a collection of short films that I wrote that I've never been able to produce because it would cost way too much money. But they're really good stories, and the tagline is Spacemen, perverts, junkies, and werewolves. So there's one story in there which is my take on the Cthulhu mythos. It's H.P. Lovecraft inspired, called Oi Cthulhu, which is about the Innsmouth Community College Battle of the Bands. Things go horribly awry. There was another one, Cruising for Brains, which is a love letter to cocaine and anonymous gay truck stop sex, but as through the lens of a zombie story. And that's honestly the best thing I've ever written. And there's two others in there too. So check it out. You can get it on Amazon. You can buy it at the conference. I think that getting this thing finally published in paperback is the start of me, because I talk a lot about how I do NaNoWriMo not every year, but almost every year, where I do National Novel Writing Month. So I have a ton of stuff that I've written that just kind of sits on my computer. And now that I've cracked the code on how to do publishing through Amazon, I would not be surprised if you saw one of those novellas get released by the end of this year. Because, like I said, I've got lots and lots and lots of first drafts. It's just a matter of sitting down and cleaning the shit up and putting it out there. So definitely do that. And what else are we going to be selling at Frogman? We got T-shirts.
Oh yeah, tons of T-shirts, 4 separate
wall
designs.
wall art. We
We
got
have some wall art, stickers and magnets and pens.
weed.
I still have planchettes and little planchette necklaces. I'm gonna try to make these other necklaces too. We'll see. Little good luck charms, something witchy and fun. We'll see. Um, Tons of stuff. We got tons of stuff. Come get your picture taken with the alien.
Yeah, or Asher's.
Oh, I thought that's what we're talking about. Or me. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. It's nice having a co-host that's like a built-in booth bunny. You know what I mean? You know,
Oh, that's aside from you calling me an R-list celebrity, Pato. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
yeah, but to be fair, I was like a V-list celebrity. Like you were higher ranked than me.
No, 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 no. The R is the highest rank I've gotten so far. Trust me, that is that was a genuine compliment. I appreciate it.
Got
Um,
it.
but yeah, tons of stuff, tons of knick-knacky bullshit. Like I said, get you a T-shirt, 4 different designs on hand. Get you a fucking pack of stickers, whatever. Just buy something. Just,
Yeah, hit
just
us up because we'll be partying Friday night and probably Saturday night. I thought I was going to have to leave and come back to Chicago early, but it looks like that's not going to happen.
I'm definitely partying Friday night and Saturday night. So
Yeah, and Saturday during the day.
and Saturday during the day. Yes, you better believe I will be drinking all day long. Uh, just
Sure.
the way it rolls. But okay, well, yeah. So I saw Cocaine Bear this weekend.
Yeah. Did you take your daughter?
I did.
And what did she think of it? Let's
Oh,
start
she
with her.
really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She really enjoyed it. But now, so the credits are, not the credits, previews, right? The trailers in the beginning of the movie. They're
Mhm.
rolling, and that one fucking movie comes on, which probably a lot of you guys saw if you watched Cocaine Bear or a movie recently about the dogs. You know what I'm
What?
talking about? It's got
No.
fucking Will Ferrell as voicing a fucking dog.
Oh, you know what? I didn't see it before Cocaine Bear, but I saw the Red Band trailer like on Twitter last week.
Yeah.
It looks
And
good.
oh my god, I think it looks
Really?
stupid. And my daughter really wants to see it. And I'm like, "Ah, I don't know. It's very adult.
He's well, the where they do the did you get the Red Band trailer where like they're doing the drugs and they're going to bite his dick off?
No. We saw them drinking
Oh,
beer and humping lawn ornaments.
oh, that you watch the Red Band trailer because the Red Band trailer they reveal that the mission is to go back and bite off Will Forte's dick. That's
Well,
what they're
okay, I know that, yeah.
and then they eat mushrooms at one point and they turn into animated dogs and one of them turns into a puppet dog and and then one of the dogs gets picked up by a condor or something. The Red Band trailer is really funny, but I'm down for that. I think it looks all right.
That is not my cup of tea right there. Um
You do not like to laugh. You're a humorless.
No, I love the laugh. That's just dumb. Cocaine Bear, that's highbrow. Okay, that's highbrow humor. Right. This Will Ferrell being a dog bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not so good. At first, I was like, "Oh, okay," and then they're like, and even then, like drinking beer. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." We're sitting here watching a cocaine bear, whatever. And then they
Yeah.
start like humping shit, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit through that with my daughter. So we'll see if she begs me enough. She does want to go see the new Scream movie, which I was blown away by. Maybe we'll watch all that together before it comes out. I don't know. It comes out in like 2 weeks, so we'll see.
They're yeah, they're
Um,
they're all on Paramount Plus. I before the last Scream came out, I made him watch the first 3 with me. We never got to the 4th one, and we never saw the 5th one in the studio, but we ended up watching the 5th one on Peacock or Paramount or whatever it streamed on, and he really liked it. So now we're gonna go see it when 6 comes out. And the trick me and him always do is we go see movies on Thursday because it's not as crowded. You still get to see it opening weekend, but you don't got to deal with the Friday Saturday night crowds. And I said to him, maybe for Scream 6 we'll go Saturday night specifically just to see it with a crowded audience.
oh, I prefer a packed theater.
Yeah, well, that's what happened with Cocaine Bear is that we went to the 5 p.m. Thursday show, but it was still half crowded, and there was a bunch of ruffians in there, and there was a lot. You got to listen to why. I'll tell this. I told the story on Y2K, but yeah, we had some shenanigans in the theater. We had a very lively audience, which does make all the difference in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Cocaine Bear is exactly what you expect. Again, it's not an accurate retelling, but we knew that already. The yes, the bear did cocaine and it died, right? But that's it. Like it didn't attack anybody. It had a heart attack because it had fucking 4 grams of cocaine in its bloodstream and its stomach was packed to the brim, as they say, with cocaine. This bear does lots of cocaine and gets really high and kills people, and it's great. It's great fun. It's lots of fun. The kids do cocaine. I don't know. I was
did that
expecting that
did
would be
that
off
bring you
limits,
back?
but yeah, it sure did. Yeah, brought back. It was kind of heavy. It got emotional for me for a minute, but
Right.
and so
I thought
then
about you when I saw that. I was like, oh,
yeah, of
there
all
she is.
of all the
There she
things that
is.
happened today for you to
Hey,
think about me.
representation matters. It was nice to finally see yourself up on the screen, right?
For once. It was interesting for me to start off as that little girl and then eventually grow into the cocaine bear mama. So
Speaking of
um
which, Frogman Festival next weekend. Be there?
this weekend. This
Yeah.
weekend. Um but
What
yeah,
was your
no, but
favorite kill?
ooh, that's hard. I really like the whole ambulance scene. Everything about it. I like the whole
Yes.
ambulance. I love that
Yes.
fucking guy. The guy, I don't know his name, but he does like TikTok videos. I recognized him immediately. He's fucking hilarious. I suggest looking him up. Again, I don't remember his name though.
The ambulance
Um,
driver?
yeah, the guy, yeah, the ambulance
Yeah.
guy.
The chick was
He's
hot. I don't usually get caught with yellow fever, but she
oh my
fucking
god, you should
did
go
it
see
for me.
Yellow Fever.
Yes, you can. It's being complimentary. She was
Fair
hot.
enough.
She was thick. I liked
Well,
her.
the whole thing, I kind of wish there was more gore. But like one part of the movie is genuinely disturbing. Like for the most part, it's just fucking ridiculous. And you're like, oh my God. But the one part that like actually disturbed me and like got under my skin is like when the bear's chomping down on the hippie guy. And it's like it's taken forever and it's like holy shit, like at that moment you actually kind of do like think about like holy fuck, being mauled to death by a bear would be fucking awful.
Yeah, well,
Like
through the groin too. It basically was killing him
eating his
by.
junk off, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was the gay guy from Modern Family.
I don't watch Modern Family.
Oh, I didn't realize he was in that. It was that, and then I didn't realize the other one of the other main characters was the young Han Solo, which you oh, that's funny.
I
That's
didn't
bringing
know
it
that.
back to last week. Yes. So when they did the Han Solo prequel movie, the guy that played Ice Cube's son's partner the dude in the Canadian tuxedo that
Ice Cube's son, yes.
yes, he lost his wife and he was talking
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
his, Ray Liotta's kid. That he
Drug dealers,
plays
yeah, son.
young Han Solo in the prequel movie Solo.
That explains why I had
You,
this weird urge to peg him. I didn't get it the whole movie, but I just knew in my loins, you know?
uh,
I'll ask you this question after the show. Anyway, free
yes,
pegging
I'll
if you
do it.
show up to Frogman Festival in a Han Solo outfit, apparently. You wanna be there. Um, so yeah, that's basically what I did. I mean, I tried to sell my car this weekend. I did sell it today. So
Good.
my old car's gone. My new car. It's kind of fucking hilarious because I actually sold it to the guy that I bought the car off of originally. I called him and I'm like, "Do you want this back?" So he shows up. Little bit of fucking synchronicity, kind of weird, a weird situation. Okay, so I used to have a Ford Escape. All right, so it's a big ass SUV. The back hatch of it won't open. The window of the back hatch will open, but for like the last year, I haven't been able to get that back hatch open. Don't know what happened. It just stopped opening one day.
Hmm.
So he shows up, right? The guy shows up today to buy the car. And, when him and I were talking about it, this is the fourth time this car has come back to him. I'm like, guy, this is your car. Like, this is your vehicle. He's the original owner. He's sold it. People have sold it back to him. He's got it again. And we're just kind of going over like what condition it's in. I'm like, pretty much exactly the same as when you had it, except that back latch doesn't open. When he fucking puts his hand on it, pops it right open, it just comes right open for him. And it blew me away. I was like, I have no idea what you did. He's like, it's because it's my car. It's like, yeah. And then looking at the receipt, today we're recording this on the 27th on Monday. The receipt from where I bought it from him was still in the title. And I go and look, I bought it from him February 24th in 2016. And he's buying it, I mean, almost to the date, 7 years later. No, 6 years
Jeez.
later. Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty wild, but so I did that, and I mean that's really it. I've just been getting ready for this festival. I'm fucking super hyped for it. I really cannot wait to see everybody there. I'm just genuinely excited. I'm going to touch everyone that I can. If you don't like to be touched, you need to tell me because I will touch you in some type of way. Because that's what I like to do. And not saying I'm
Sure.
gonna grope you or anything, just I'm a hugger, and then and a cuddler at that. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that was my weekend. Want to talk about some news?
Let's do it.
All right. Did you watch that video I sent you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I had seen that pop up in other places too. And
because there's a reason for it. Hold on.
okay.
So let me explain what I'm talking about so
All right.
people know they haven't seen it yet.
I sometimes I
Um,
forget we're doing a show here, and I think it's just me and you talking.
I know. I understand because this is how we talk to each other.
Right.
Just every little bit in conversation, we're like, "Hey, Frogman Festival, March 4th at the Great Wolf Lodge in Mason, Ohio." 77359 weird. Um, anyway, so there's a video going around that a guy took in British Columbia in Canada of a bird that's just suspended in the air. Now he claims it's dead. I don't know how he knows that it's dead, but he kind of walks around it, kind of walks underneath it, and it is. It's just suspended there. Now I've seen other videos like this. Some people call it a glitch in the Matrix. I think there's actually a Reddit that you can follow that's by the same name that has a lot of shit like that. And of course, there's the conspiracy that birds aren't real. And maybe this is a testament to that. But what is interesting about this particular video, what's different about this one, is that a second person also saw the same fucking bird and took a video of it. Now they were in a car and they took a video of it. They even parked the car underneath it. So there's nothing like on the ground that's holding this bird up in the air. And you have two separate people that don't know each other that posted this video. Pato?
I don't care.
Okay.
I watched that video, and I didn't necessarily think that it wasn't real. I just didn't care. I was like, okay, like I don't discount that this happened, and I know that to entertain the idea that it's real opens up a whole host of other questions. Whatever. You know,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't. Okay, it's real. This bird was floating in midair. Does that is that mean that reality is a simulation? Was it suspended by some kind of force? Was it an anti gravity thing? Was it trick photography? You know what I mean? As much as we are can be somewhat sure that it's not, we don't know for sure, and it could be. And the second person could be in cahoots with the first one, or who knows what. Um, I don't know. I'm not going to research it. I'm not trying to shit on your news. I appreciate the effort, but whatever.
I think it's cool.
So what? But let me ask you then. So this is something that engaged you. All right, fine. What's your take on it? Do you think that it's? What do you think?
I mean, it's just like any other video of anything in the high strangeness category that we get, right? It's just like Patterson Gimlin film. It's just like UFOs and the fucking, I mean, it's like any of those things. Does it definitively prove anything at all? No, it doesn't, because you're right. Especially in this day and age, it's so easy to fake stuff like this, just digitally alone, but it still gets me excited because honestly, some of these topics that we talk about, or I guess, okay, I'll go back. Some of these things that I personally investigate kind of hit nowhere, and you go a long time without anything really happening, and then you see a fucking bird suspended in midair that doesn't really make any sense, and then that okay, that's right, I'm not just crazy, because you kind of start to like question like, am I just searching nothing? Am I chasing down a lead that doesn't exist? So it's really validating to see stuff like this. I guess. I mean, and that's really it. It's personal for me. We're not going to prove anything with that video, except for that something strange is happening.
Well, I see this as being a little bit different than video of a UFO or the Patterson Gimlin tape, because there's a narrative that's at least suggested there. Patterson Gimlin tape, it's a video of Bigfoot. It's film of Bigfoot, right? When you see someone trying to videotape or capture a UFO, like, okay, there's the UFO stuff. The dead birds floating in midair. There's no there's no other part to that story. I think I just need more. That's what I think it is. Like, if there was something else there, if there was a hint of an explanation or a narrative or mythology to attribute this to, I think that I would be more engaged. But because it's just this weird, unexplained phenomena that has no ties or foreseeable relation to anything else, there's not enough to grab my interest.
Nope. Stop right there. Nope. That
Okay.
is the narrative. That is the agenda. It's a weird, unexplained phenomena that has no tie to anything else. What the fuck does that mean? That is the narrative. And that's a narrative for a lot of 40 and topics. I like that kind of stuff. I like I'm bored with the Bigfoots and the lake monsters and things like that. I like shit that is truly and genuinely like, what the fuck is that? What is that? But maybe that, again, that's just me. Some
No, I
people,
get I definitely understand what you're saying. I get
yeah,
it.
some people love Bigfoot, some people love aliens, whatever. I like the
Yeah.
weird one off, what the hell's happening kind of situations. So, but that's okay. Hey, you know what? That's fine. It's not your cup of tea. You can drink from a different cup. There's plenty of cups to go around, Pato. Um, so, and my second item for the news is also strange. It's just a classic 40 and topic. I really like it. But it does have probably a reasonable explanation. So, a small town in Australia was hit with a very strange storm recently. It rained down fish from the sky. Fish. Some of them were alive. um, so apparently, this small town, I'm going to butcher the name. I think it's Lajamanu. I don't know. It's in Australia. Again, this isn't the first time they've had a fish rain, right? They've also had this happen in 2010, 2004, and also in 1974. So this is now the fourth time that fish has rained down from their village. A lot of kids were like catching some of the fish that were still alive and keeping them as pets, as like little souvenirs of like, remember that time it rained fish? Um, But that's fun. Now, scientists believe that probably what happened is that the fish were gathered up in a particular portion and they were swept up into the storm and then carried over, to the little town. And that's probably why these things happen. But nobody's ever actually seen it happen. So until someone does, that's just kind of a theory. That kind of goes along with the bird in the sky, honestly.
It's so crazy that you brought that up because when you were talking about your story about how unexplained shit just happens, I was going to bring up the scene in Magnolia when it rains frogs.
So this is that.
Seriously. And I was like, she's not going to get a fucking Paul Thomas Anderson reference. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And then you bring up a story about it raining
Raining
fish in
fish.
Australia.
I like when it rains animals. I don't.
Who doesn't? Free pets.
Well, see, how do you enjoy that, but you don't care about the suspended bird in the sky? I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
I hate that movie. Magnolia is the fucking. I don't worship it like some people does. Respect the cock,
I've never
tame the
seen it.
con.
I don't know.
Yeah, fuck Tom Cruise.
I can agree with that much. But Tom Cruise. Fucking Scientology slave.
Paul
Over
Thomas
here.
Anderson peaked with Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights it was like his first or second movie, and I've seen all of his movies, and nothing. I haven't seen Licorice Pizza. And that kind of looks like I might enjoy it, but he did the Master movie, which was about Scientology with Philip Seymour Hoffman as kind of L. Ron Hubbard, and he's did what else did he do? He did Punch Drunk Love, which was the Adam Sandler movie set in Hawaii, I believe, maybe. And he's done some other
No,
things.
51st Dates.
Oh, whatever. Fucking okay. Um, but yeah, how did I get off talking about him? Fuck him. Boogie Nights was his best movie. You a fan of Boogie Nights?
Never seen it.
What? You have to. That. Fuck. We should watch that
Oh God.
sometime. If anyone wants to have the official Frogman Fest after party where we watch Boogie Nights,
I'm not watching. I'm not wasting my time watching Boogie Nights. I'm going to waste my time drunk and disorderly.
watch Boogie Nights.
Not watching Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Write us, message us, call us 773-59-WEIRD and tell Asher she needs to watch Boogie Nights. It's a good movie. It's about the porn industry.
I never. I'll probably maybe I'll watch it one day.
It's out. Anyway, enough about that.
I've been going. That's what I've been doing. I mean, I've been going through movies I've never seen that everybody's like, "What? You've never seen that?" You know how many times a day that happens to me? A day. You know how many times in a day that happens to me? At least 3. So I'm trying to catch up. That's why I watched, the first 2 Star Wars movies last weekend and didn't get around to watching the third this one.
Yeah.
I'm trying. So I'm getting there. But yeah, so fish rain in Australia. Just another reason to maybe not go to Australia.
Sure.
That's my news for the week. That's what I got.
I had one, and just to show how on point my instincts are, I had originally flagged this for a potential news story last night, talking about Sunday, the 26th, and woke up this morning and found it all over the place. It was the copy that I'm going to read today. I'm taking off the website for Paranormality magazine, but Weekly World News even did a fucking parody of it. This story was everywhere today, so obviously my instincts are spot on. But this weekend, the Mexican president has captured the attention of social media users everywhere after he shared a photo that purportedly depicts one of the mythical Mayan elves. Everything is mystical, Mexico President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said in a Twitter post Saturday, accompanied by 2 photos, including one that the president says shows an elixir, which I'm probably mispronouncing, but just think of it as duende, right? That's how I process this. Ancient Mayan folklore maintains that the Alexis are cunning, playful sprites of the forest and fields. It is said they often play pranks on people by hiding items away, so it is wise to leave small offerings as a form of appeasing them. By Sunday, Obrador's post had gained an impressive 5 million views. I was one of them. A pre-Hispanic sculpture captured in one of the photos stands out against a nighttime shot where something that looks like a creature with glowing eyes lurks within the tree branches. Both taken at the Ekbalam Yucatec Maya archaeological site. So, look that up, I guess. I thought
Mm-mm.
this was interesting because the picture is a pretty good picture of this. It looks like a Jawa, which is a Star Wars reference that might be lost upon you because you're not that much of a Star Wars fan. No, you know the things that lived in the desert of the first one
Yeah.
that drove the sandcrawler and that.
Well, yeah, they had the cloaks on. I didn't see their
Right.
faces.
Well, that's what this looks like. It's got cloaks with the little eyes.
Yeah.
And somebody, when I saw this original Twitter post, somebody said that this picture was from somewhere else and was not from Mexico. That it was from somewhere in Indochina or something, and that it was not a Mexican picture. But I couldn't find verification of that anywhere. But it's interesting that the Mexican president chose to share this and talk about the Mayan folklore.
I do think that that is interesting. I did also see the same story, like you said, it is
Yeah.
everywhere. I did also see people make reference to the fact that this was an old photo
Okay.
and had actually shared a tweet where it had come from back in 2021. And prior to Elon Musk's Twitter, you couldn't edit tweets. So you couldn't go back right now to your if we were in that same land, you couldn't go back right now and edit your tweet from actually, and I don't even think you only have so much time before you can edit a tweet now anyway. So if someone posted it in 2021, that means they posted it in 2021. Um, but I would still I'm interested as to where the photo may have come from originally, what it may be a picture of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not to say that it's not something strange because it certainly looks very strange, right? But it does depend on the area before I can draw any type of personal conclusion as to what I think it might be. But I think it is really cool that the Mexican president believes in elves, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Well, it's an interesting thing to do on a Saturday night to just espouse that belief. And I think that that is something that Latins are very passionate people. And when I see him doing that, I always think about that Argentinian president or the Chilean president. That do you remember that? It was a couple of years ago. They had a big earthquake in Chile, and he blamed the America and DARPA, Americans and DARPA or whatever.
Yeah,
Your harp, you know, and he's like, the Americans have earthquake guns or their satellites. Everyone
I
knows
don't
about it.
remember that. That's
Oh, it was
hilarious.
fucking great. Everyone's head exploded. Like this fucking
That's a good
guy,
time.
he just
Yeah,
said it, you know. And whether
DARPA.
or not I don't know if he was just pissed off because his country was in ruins or whatever. But like, whoa, all right, King, go off. So,
No, it is. I think it is really fun. I've seen like people accusing the Mexican president of like disclosing this information on purpose to try to distract people from other things happening. Guys, listen. There's always other things happening. Okay. Always. That's not a good straw man argument for your conspiracy. I know. I mean, that's what it is. It's a straw man argument for your conspiracy. There's always something to distract from.
yeah,
Be better than that. Do better. And of course, you're my listener, so I expect that you do. So, but I don't know. I can't say whether or not it is or isn't. Who knows? Maybe the guy was just he had a little too much wine. He was thinking about elves. He decided to post about it on Twitter. I don't know. I think it's fun though.
sure. Sure. And
So,
then my shout out for the week is going to go to Chris Holm of Conspire Theory, who did the artwork for us for Moth for the Frogman Festival, as well as Emily Wayland from the Singular 14 Society. Both of them helped us design some of our merch for this week's the conference. And if you're there, also check out Cassie
oh
from
yeah,
Cassie Land. She gets the half mast chub. I don't know her last name. It's Cassie something. But it's Cassie Land on Instagram. Everyone knows Cassie. She does a bunch of graphic design work. And she's like Prince or Cher. She only needs one name. So,
it's just like Adam. Oh, yeah,
like Prince, Cassie,
Prince
Cher,
Cassidy.
Madonna, Cassie. Do you really need a last name? You know the fuck I'm talking about. So check out her booth at Frogman Festival. I know she's making some wands and shit. She's an amazing artist and amazing person.
I will promise you this. I promise. Okay. This is the 100. If I've ever said a truth on this show, this is the truth. Cassie's going to have a booth at the Frogman Festival. Cassie will spend more money than she will walk out with from what she makes. And let me tell you, she makes some damn good stuff. So her sales are going to be hot, especially with those wands, but she's going to spend more, probably at least double of what she makes at her own booth. I believe
So now
that.
you buy the wand at Cassie's booth, right?
Yeah.
How much do you charge to put the wand in their butt? They bring the wand over to the On Wednesdays We Talk Weird booth.
Well, they have to be dressed like Han Solo. So that's,
That's it.
and then it's a $50 deposit. So,
There.
um,
Wow, that's a fucking steal.
it is. It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah. So that's the deal I'm cutting. That's the special offer. Just come up to the booth. Say you're there for the special offer. I got you.
Good thing we're surrounded by our friends. In case like a horde of weird Ohioans show up. That fucking, because we're not gonna like. I mean, who could the world's biggest dick could roll up on this thing. You know what I mean? Like we're right in the backyard. Like we are.
That's true. He might still listen to the show.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm
I'll put
glad.
his ass right on stage. I'll be like, "See, I told you, told you all. I've seen it. Now
I'm
you
just.
have to."
I'm glad we'll have Toby next to us in case shit gets
And
out of
Heather.
hand.
Heather's not fucking around. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Heather Moser's not fucking around. We got good crew members available, good bodyguards.
Right.
Anyway, oh Pato. So now that we've been jovial and had a really good time, you want to talk about some really fucked up shit?
Sure.
Oh man, this is interesting. Actually, it's not that bad. We've done worse. We've talked about way worse on this show. So this episode is really important to kind of lead us into another episode that we want to do in the future. I felt like it was important for us to talk about this and another famous serial killer, before we touched on the actual big boy topic that I'm excited to cover. But today we're going to talk about Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole. And Pat O, I know you've been fucking dying to talk about this movie since I mentioned it. What was your history with these two prolific killers before we did this episode?
Chicago filmmaker John McNaughton released Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer in 1986. And I didn't see it until I remember the poster being in video stores, but it wasn't until I discovered that I wanted to be a filmmaker and started to explore different independent filmmakers that I came across John McNaughton, The Chicago Connection, and this movie Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So it stars Michael Rooker as Henry Lee Lucas. Michael Rooker, you'll know from Walking Dead. He's Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He's been in lots of stuff, and this was one of his very early roles. And yeah, it's kind of a loose retelling of the Henry and Otis bromance that left so many people dead, and set
Sure.
in my hometown of Chicago. It's a great Chicago movie. They film stuff on Lower Wacker. You could tell it's filmed by someone that's from here because he gets all the good stuff in. Very dirty, shot on 16 millimeter in the 80s, right? And it's funny, like watching or like reading the story behind the making of this film, is that it still cost like $100,000,
Are you
which is
serious?
like,
On
yes.
what?
Well, it was shot in 16 millimeter, like film. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing, is that now you can make a low budget movie for like $7,000, and mark my words, I'll do it. And but back then, like if you were to make an independent movie, you still needed like $100,000, because like you needed to buy all the film stock, you needed to use a film camera, and that's what they did. And this, I mean, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the better slasher movies. It's very brutal. Um, there's a fair amount of sexual assault in it, which is unfortunate. It's not my favorite thing to see captured on film, but it's part of the story, and it unfortunately it's just there. But it's worth checking out. So that was what I thought. I thought I knew what's his name, Henry Lee Lucas and Otis stuff from this,
Yeah.
and then in researching, I realized that was this was a incredibly loose adaptation, and
Incredibly, yeah.
they had nothing to do with Chicago, and which was a bummer.
Yeah, it's not, it makes it seem a lot more exciting than it is, actually, I'll be honest with you. It's a
Yeah,
good movie. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is, a very softball movie if you're looking to get into, like, the disturbing movie circuit. That's up my alley, that's my deal.
right.
But
Because he's a
this has
protagonist in it. Like he's a murderer. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but Otis is the worst of
yeah,
the two.
he's terrible.
Yeah, and they make Henry as kind of like a likable. He's like a Dexter almost a little bit. I don't know. Not
Kind of, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He's a little bit better. He's not as bad. He gets worse at the end, but initially he's not that bad.
right. He's sympathetic
Um,
because of the shit with his mom. You
right,
know.
and eventually, then you're like, well, this guy's not so great, but it's a good. Again, it's for a movie. It's a good movie to get into. If you like that kind of thing, it has everything that I like. Right, it's got the dirty feel to it. It's got sexual assault. It's got it's got the disturbing bits. I like that stuff.
Dude raping his sister's got fucking checks all the
Oh,
boxes.
when they kill that whole family, oh man, man, that's right up my alley. Home invasions, man, horrifying stuff. But I like to watch that kind of stuff on film because it makes me feel something. I don't know.
Oh
So
my god.
it
Oh
does.
my god.
But it's not a very good retelling of the actual events at all. So we're going to tell you guys about the actual events, which is in and of itself a very interesting story. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to talk about each person individually because they are allegedly a couple that killed together. All right, which we did kind of cover some of those, hey, in an earlier episode. But we're going to talk about kind of both individually leading up to the point that they meet, and then we're going to talk about the point that they meet and going forward.
Mhm.
So let's talk about Henry first. My God, I thought my childhood sucked. Let me tell you something. Henry Lee Lucas, this poor unfortunate fucking soul. I mean, he does have a very sad story. He was born in a one-room log cabin to a prostitute mother. The prostitute mother, as a matter of fact, had a penchant for dressing him up like a girl constantly, forcing him to watch her engage in the sex acts that she did, and then eventually pimping him out to men, women, whoever, as a child in
Huh.
his girl costume. So very fucking horrific. Eventually, the cross dressing only stopped because finally the school stepped in and said, "Hey, enough is enough," and was like, "Hey, you can't be dressing your child up like a girl."
So
Which,
she sent him to school like that?
yeah, she would send him to school like that. Yeah, complete degradation. Oh yeah, and
Oh my
and they were like, "Yeah,
god.
you can't do this," but didn't really stop anything else. His dad was such a raging alcoholic that the man died from hypothermia because he got so fucking drunk and passed out in a blizzard. It killed him.
Yeah.
And then in the sixth grade, he dropped out of school. All that happened before this man was like a teenager, before he was even a teen, like or this child at that point. So fucking horrific. When he did drop out of school, he dropped out of school so that he could run away. And, he did. And he kind of became this weird drifter. What he says is that his first murder occurred in 1951. He would have been 15 years old at the time. And yeah, so he ended up going to prison for a short amount of time. I think it was for something petty, like theft
Burglary.
or something.
Yeah.
Yes, and he went to prison. He gets out, and he had been chit chatting with this pen pal girl, and his mother didn't approve of it. So he had like gone back home for like the holidays or something, and his mom pretty much spent the entire time like nagging him like, "Hey, you need to leave that girl alone and you need to come back home and take care of me because I'm old now and I need your help," and yada yada yada. So it escalates. This conversation that's been going on for over the course of the holidays escalates to the point to where he stabs her. He fucking stabs her and kills her. Or he didn't kill her. Okay, so he stabbed her. His sister had come home. They were all staying at his sister's house. She had come home, found her mom, called the ambulance, and she didn't make it. But she didn't die from the stab wound. She died from a heart attack, probably because she was being attacked by her son. I don't know.
Right.
But obviously he did it, so he was actually convicted of second degree murder in Michigan and sentenced to 40 years in prison. And he was let out in the 1970s, 10 years later,
Yeah.
due to overcrowding in the prisons. Okay. So he gets out and then he fucks up again. He goes and he attempts to kidnap three young girls, 1971, within a year of him getting out. So he's sentenced to 5 more years in prison, and then he was actually released in just four, 1975. He decides to get together and marry the pen pal at that time that he was talking to. But they had divorced within 2 years because there were constant accusations from the stepdaughter that he was sexually assaulting her. And then, went on.
So hold on just for a second. And
No,
I
that's
don't
okay.
know. I don't know if you
That's
know.
Henry's history. So
Yeah, I don't know if you know the answer to this, and I don't know why I think that you would, but when did women writing like people in jail become a thing?
hmm.
Because that seems like an internet thing, but this is it happening like in the 70s.
It has been happening for a very long time. My dad married a woman he was pen pals with.
Oh my god,
Um,
how did she even know? How did she know about him?
that's a really good question. I don't, there's like programs. So I had opted to, okay, so there's this project, and I'm going to tell you guys this. Some of you, especially if you're here for the true crime, you're going to think that this sounds like a really fucking good idea. I'm going to give you a cautionary tale of why you shouldn't do this. There is a project that you can get involved with. Yes, you can sign up now online. It's called, I think it's like the Death Row Project or something like that, where you can become pen pals with a death row inmate, and write to them, because these guys are incredibly fucking lonely. I mean,
Hmm.
listen, don't do it unless you have a PO box that's far away from your hometown and that's what you're giving them. Don't fucking do it. What will happen to some of these guys in prison is that your mail will get into the hands of other prisoners, and not just like them, but sometimes these death row inmates are mixed in because of overcrowding with like regular run of the mill prisoners, and they have been known to take advantage of the people writing to them. There have been people that have gotten out of prison and have tracked down the address on their cellmate's letter and went and robbed the fucking person or whatever. Like, it's very dangerous to just write people in prison. Like, don't fucking if you ever write anybody in prison, don't put your home address ever. So that's one thing. But that whole thing, the death row, writing people, I understand there's a death row inmates. This has always been a thing. I mean, I don't know how you get into these programs pre the internet. I wasn't alive because I was born in 1991, so I don't know. But it has, like, the matchmaking and thing. That's always, I mean, as far as I know, it's always been around.
It's a narrative that pops up more often than you would think, and I think, when I hear about it, something that far back, it just, I don't know. It's interesting.
And it's public record. I mean, right now, like, you can go onto your local news website and you can see people who have been arrested, who are in jail, right, overnight. And that's, and back when newspapers were still hot, I mean, you could still get a newspaper, but like they used to put it in the paper and shit too. So like lonely women or even lonely men could go and peruse, the local the local most wanted, and see who was arrested recently, and could write to them in the county jail. And then when they move, they would write you with their new address and say, "Hey, I'm here now." I mean, there's tons of ways that you can actually meet someone that's in prison.
You
Really.
know what's crazy though? I know girls, as much as and I'm not looking down on anybody for this, but I know chicks that would probably sorry, if it wasn't for instant messenger, would probably be writing men in prison.
There's
Instead
whole
they're
entire groups dedicated to
Yeah,
women that
no,
have the hots for killers.
oh, not even the killer thing, just because they like the captive audience. You know what I mean? They like the idea of some guy in a cell somewhere, hanging on their every word, jerking his dick at night, thinking about him reading their fucking letter.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
weird.
No,
It's a
I mean,
whole.
well, it's not healthy, but it's understandable, I guess. You know,
Yeah, but I agree. I don't know exactly how they come to be, but it is out there. I've never looked
sure.
into it.
Well, maybe something we
Never
can.
I've never been interested in marrying a felon. So
Anyway,
that's but that's Henry's background. Do you have anything else to say about
no, no,
his
no, no, I'm good. I'm good.
background and his upbringing? Oh, okay. All right. I will continue. Now, Otis, Otis Toole, he actually had a very similar kind of upbringing. So Otis, his mother also would dress him up like a girl. And actually, he had a whole name for him. It was Susan.
Wow.
Yeah, he suffered from a lot of incestuous sexual assault in his house, including his own sister. I mean, tons of people. He had actually come out to his family as gay, and he says that's when he really became the target of abuse in his family, and when his mother started dressing him up like a girl. But he said that that stems from at the age of 5 years old, he was forced to have sex with, well, he was raped by his one of his father's friends, and that's when he discovered that he was gay at 5. And had stuck to that idea. I mean, was gay. He was just gay from going forward. He claims that his grandmother was a Satanist, okay,
Yeah.
that made him do a lot of really weird and terrible things. The top of the mountain being grave robbing was pretty normal for him. He was an arsonist. He was a serial arsonist, and admitted that he was very sexually aroused by fire.
Is that bad?
It is weird, yeah. Is it bad to set shit on fire all the time? Yeah, it is.
I was a total pyro as a kid.
But were you an arsonist?
Well, I never got arrested. I mean, what makes you an arsonist versus someone that just burns shit?
I mean, if you're just like burning items and your fucking buddy's bonfire, I don't think that's a big deal. If you're setting people's homes and cars and shit on fire,
Well,
that's
all right, enough about this. We're not talking about me.
okay. All right.
We're talking about Otis Poole. Never mind.
I mean, have you killed anybody yet in your 40 years, Pato?
I am like I would admit it on this fucking. This is when I finally come clean about it, right?
Yeah, why not? Hey, you know what? The fuck, our listenership would fucking skyrocket. So,
well,
I hope if you ever do confess that it's on this show.
Hopefully, our listeners write us letters or leave me voicemails. 77359 weird.
They will. You have a whole groupie following after that point. But anyway, so he also eventually he ran away from home in his younger teenage years. He ran away to become a male prostitute. He was very, very much addicted to porn. It's just kind of the point of some of these things like porn addiction and, sexual arousal from fire. It's just to show that he's a deviant, right? I mean, that's what it is. He's got deviancy issues. And yes, if you don't get your defiant behavior in check, that is a problem. That's when you become Otis Toole or Henry Lee Lucas. As a fine line there. He claims that his first murder occurred when he was 14. He says that he was approached by a businessman, proposition for sex, and that he actually ran him over with his own car. So, which, honestly, that one, like, I don't really blame him for, I don't. I'm sorry. I mean, creepy old guy trying to have sex with a 14-year-old boy. Fuck that guy. He also became the prime suspect. So he would kind of hop around different states. And everywhere that he went, he became a prime suspect in some type of murder. Interestingly enough, most of them seem to be women and other, female prostitutes. But it could have been because, I mean, gosh, he had, his mom, his grandmother, his older sister. I could see why this guy hated women. I mean, I don't understand it, but I can definitely see him developing that type of hate. And so therefore, murdering women became his thing. Mm-hmm. So again, he would become the prime suspect, and in a case, he would skip town, he would leave. And then he just kind of did that forever until 1976 when he met his soulmate, Henry Lee Lucas. So that's the individual history of both of them. Anything you want to tack on there from the...
Yeah, I mean, women, don't fuck up your kids. You guys have more power than you think. And it's interesting that the fathers in these situations, these domestic situations, aren't saints either. And it's almost like the women are punishing the children because of their father. You get women that are marginalized by men, and then they have men children, and they take it out on them, and they abuse them and torment them and warp them. And turn create even more dysfunctional men that go on to abuse women.
Yeah.
You know, not that I'm saying that, you know, that it's brought upon, they bring it upon themselves, but I think if there's a takeaway here, and this is a very simplistic view from 30,000 feet, is that just because you experience trauma as a child does not give you the right to revisit it upon other people. That revenge is a stupid idea, and all it does is perpetuate this cycle of violence. The only way it's going to end is if you're strong enough to withstand it, absorb it, and then just kind of dissipate it and move on. You know what I mean? You got to stop the cycle of abuse. If you had shitty parents, don't be a shitty parent yourself. Be a
Yeah.
loving parent, and that's not, you're not going to raise your kids to be weak. I know there's a lot that's said about that, about, the yuppies kids are all fucked up because they weren't strict like their parents were. And maybe there is some truth to that, but I think in these two cases, you have men that were very prolific serial killers that became that way because they were abused by women that were abused by less horrific men, and that the violence and the sadism and the depravity only was amplified. You know, um,
Oh, absolutely. This is a very classic case of serial killers. I mean, typically, if you just
it's
look at
every
all
serial
of
killer we
them,
fucking talk about.
well, Dahmer
Someone,
didn't really have much. I mean, he had neglectful parents, but he didn't have fucking dress my kid up like a woman and sexually abuse them type of
well,
parent.
but they still had sexual dysfunction. I mean, there was still all the serial killers we've talked about are pretty much gay, I think, and I don't. That's not saying that there's not straight serial killers out there, but I think if you look at the ones that we've talked about on this show, pretty much
So far, yeah, we haven't really covered.
all the heavy hitters are all the people putting up the big numbers.
I
You know
want
what
to
I
get
mean?
away from these gay serial killers. I
You know
swear to
what
God,
it
I'm
is? It's
starting to
the
think that.
showmanship. It's the pageantry. All right. It's their panache. It's their sense of style. They just do it better. I don't know what to say.
I definitely, like I said, I want to get away. It's starting to sound like we were fucking targeting them, and we're
No,
not. And it's
of
just
course
that
that's the most ridiculous thing I've heard.
these happen to come up on the radar,
Y'all
and
do it. We'll stop talking about it when you stop doing it. I don't know what to say.
nah, we can't stop doing it. People love these episodes. The true crime episodes always get the most listeners. They
Well, we
love
should
this shit.
we should do this shit more then.
They love these psychotic twinks.
These are no. These are otters. All right.
Okay,
I'm looking at the
fair
two of
enough.
them right now.
Oh my
Henry Lee
God,
Lucas is a textbook otter.
they look very much like creepy. Like those are the people that you fucking stay away from, and in a bar, you know.
Yeah.
Like, don't go anywhere near those guys. Don't talk to those people. They're creepy. Which is not to like body shame anybody or I guess, shame their appearance, but my God, just go look at them if you haven't. Ugh, they're something else. Anyway, um, so they meet, okay. Henry and Otis meet in a soup kitchen in 1976, and they hit it off. As a matter of fact, and this isn't proven for sure, but it's not denied either. It's pretty well known that they ended up becoming lovers,
Mm-hmm.
which is not surprising because both of them didn't really. Well, Otis was definitely very gay. Henry, I don't think really had any type of sexual preference. But alongside, banging Otis, he was also banging Otis's 15-year-old disabled niece.
Wow, that's no good.
No, not at all. And she ended up getting put into a home, and when she was put into this, like, it was like a juvenile place for people with disabilities because her mom was dead, her grandma died, she didn't have a caretaker. Henry had actually convinced her to run away with him, and she did, and so they ran off together. It ended up kind of going to like several different places, but eventually at one point Becky started saying that she wanted to go back home. She didn't want to be on the run, like she didn't like this life. So Henry killed her. He killed her.
Well,
And and he confessed to that murder, which we're going to talk about here shortly. Otis, on the other hand, I mean, he was still kind of drifting around, so they would kind of like jump around and hop around from state to state, and then kind of meet up in the middle somewhere, and then bang it out, and then leave, and then get together, and go bang out other people together. I mean, they were just kind of had this really nomadic lifestyle. Um, Otis ended up actually being arrested for arson. And the arson that he was arrested for was not, there wasn't anything that was really crazy about it. It was just a structure, but he had also he confessed that he had just killed somebody in an arson, and one of those issues, tied him up and fucking let the house on fire. And so from there, things just got even crazier. So 2 months after he admits to killing this guy by fire, which I believe he claimed was self defense in some type of way, um, Henry is arrested for having a gun on him when he shouldn't have had a gun on him. And when he was arrested for that, he confessed to killing not only Becky, but this other person that they were staying at their house they were staying at or something. He confessed to killing two people. And Henry started fucking just singing like a canary, and all of a sudden, Henry Lee Lucas is responsible for killing fucking everybody. And Otis gets word of this, and he goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, we killed everybody. I mean, we killed all these people." Otis's number was, up in the hundreds, whereas Henry's number was eventually up in like the 600s. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
got really out there and really crazy. Otis had claimed that they did this under the guise of a cult. So they were following a cult called the Hands of Death.
Yeah.
And, investigators didn't find any evidence to back that up. Much like most of the other murders that they claimed to commit. Now, what's crazy is that at the end of the day, Henry Lucas was only convicted for 11 murders. Okay. Otis Toole was only convicted for 6. Combined, again, they confessed more than 600. Out of the 600, the general idea is that police do believe that they were responsible for 200, at least 200 of those murders. And DNA has confirmed that at least 20 of those victims that they claimed were not either of them. So this is really all over the place. And, that's where it gets kind of crazy. Now, I believe Henry was arrested in Texas, and he really fucked up the reputation of the Texas Rangers, because just a lot of the confessions were very unlawfully gotten. They would give him information about these cases that, nobody else should have known. Like, that's how they know they catch their killer is because, they knew that detail. Nobody knew that detail. They would kind of feed him information, and he would just confess to it. Now, they both have gone back and forth, about whether or not they did actually commit those murders. But they were getting like highbrow treatment because of, confessing all these murders. They'd get to go on all these trips. When they were going on these trips, they didn't handcuff them at all. They were actually kind of free to just be themselves. And I mean, they'd take them out to dinner, and I mean, they really treated them very well because they were confessing to all these murders. So of course they're going to confess to them. And, there's a lot of back and forth of, well, I did it. Okay, well, take me to the body. Okay, the body is it's in Nashville. So they'd fly out to Nashville. They'd have a nice Nashville weekend, and he'd take them to this spot, and there was nothing there. This was very common his whole life. The whole rest of their lives, they both did this over and over again. So I'll pause there for a minute, Pato.
That's interesting to think that, because you think that people confess shit that they didn't do because they're just crazy and they want the notoriety. But the idea that they would have some kind of deal worked out with the police to maybe get preferential treatment while they confess to all these crimes. That's really interesting, especially in the case that you're going to get to, I assume,
Yes.
relatively soon,
Yes.
where the police almost seem complicit in losing some of
Right.
the evidence. Where you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need a scapegoat, right? You need someone to confess to it. So there you go. As long as they're going in.
Yeah,
Might as well get them
the
to go in with.
pressure's high, right? So
Yeah,
you gotta come up with an answer. These families want answers. This
yeah,
guy's willing to give them that. He's giving them that closure. They think, but it's not really closure because it's not real. It's not a real confession. So
right. And the more time that you cop to, the more time you spend on trial, the more time you get shuttled around. You're not in jail, right? And then when you finally do land your ass in jail, you're this prolific fucking serial killer that has 60 murders under your belt.
yeah.
You're less likely to get fucked with. Even though you are sometimes, I don't know, do guys like this can't get treated well in prison because they're killing kids and
Oh, that's a whole nother. I can tell you the big secret there. People, that's a myth. Guess what? When people go to prison, they're going to prison with other prisoners. And when you are in prison, first and foremost, you go to a sorting center. Okay. Everybody goes
uh,
to a sorting center. And it's just like a big prison until they transfer you to your new home. Right. And the prisons that they choose to transfer you to, they put you in with people that commit kind of the same crimes that you do. Because if you were to take a serial child rapist and you were to put them in a prison with people that aren't that, then yeah, you're going to have a problem because that person's going to get targeted and ultimately they're going to get transferred anyway or killed, and then you're in trouble.
right,
So they put these prisoners in with other like-minded prisoners. Prison justice is not really a thing. I mean, it can be, it does happen rarely, but it does happen. But it's not like people think it is. And if you are somebody that's terrible like that and they put you in a prison with people that aren't already serving life in prison, because the only person that's going to kill you in prison is someone that's going to be there for life. And they
everyone else
put
is trying to get out. Yeah.
everyone else just wants to leave, right? So they're not going to fucking kill you just because. And there was even a thing about I just did a lot of reading about prison rape, but even that's kind of interesting. I mean, you have so many dudes in there that are willing to
Wait, what?
do it. Prison rape, yeah, prison. People
You
are
just did a what?
a
You did a
research on prison rape,
okay.
a lot of research on prison rape, and it's not as it happens, but most of the time when prison rape or sexual assault in prison happens, it's not between the prisoners, it's actually between the staff and the prisoners.
Did I ever tell you my prison rape story?
You got raped in prison?
No, 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 no. I had a friend that was I was in my first band with that grew up to be a Cook County sheriff. And I had known Cook County sheriffs, right? And the sheriffs are obviously the people that guard the prison, right? They're sheriffs. And, something that you ask sheriffs, and I've known it working. I used to be a bouncer in the bar industry, and I just knew a lot of sheriffs. And sometimes it would come up, and they'd always say, "Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. People don't get raped in prison. That's a bunch of bullshit. That doesn't happen." And one time I ran into my buddy who, like I said, we went to grammar school together. We were in our first band together. He was the first drummer I ever played with. And I said, "Oh, he's like, yeah, I'm over at county now and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Let me ask you something. Do people get raped in prison?" He's like, "Jesus Christ, all the fucking time." He's like, I can't turn around without watching people fuck it. Sometimes it's consensual, sometimes it's not. You hear them fucking scream out and yell and shit like this for help, and you just sit there and you wait for it to be over. He goes, "This one guy, he was a business guy from the neighborhood who got his third fucking DUI or something, right? And got locked up and was supposed to be released on a Friday, and he got bailed out, and they were supposed to let him go Friday afternoon. Well, somebody forgot, misfiled the paperwork, right? So this guy had to spend the weekend in county, and he fucking had to blow every guy in that place, and he got fucking passed around. And by the time they fucking got the paperwork straight and pulled him out Friday morning, he was missing teeth and he looked like he had been beaten fucked half to death. And this was a guy that had, too many DUIs, and he was a salesman or something from the neighborhood.
That's weird.
And I was like, "Get the fuck out of there." And he's like, "Yeah." So now who do you believe? Do I believe the 20 plus sheriffs that I asked over the course of my life that have all said, "No, no, no, that doesn't happen, doesn't happen, doesn't happen"? Or do I believe the one guy that I've known since we were fucking kids that said, "This is the shit that I've seen"? I don't know. Now, maybe that guy that I knew from back in the day was fucking with me because that's what you do is you whatever.
Well, it's a great cautionary tale to keep you out of jail.
Or maybe the 20 other guys who I didn't know nearly as well were just being dismissive about it because they didn't want to get into it and they weren't going to talk out of turn. I don't know.
I will cover prison stories a little bit more. Here's a little kind of spoiler for the Patreon. We did an episode about my dad that we're going to redo. um, my dad spent about a good 20 years in prison and out of prison. My uncle, his brother, also spent about the same amount of time, 3 to 4 year stints at a time. My aunt is a corrections officer at a prison. I'm very familiar. I fucked a guy for a very long time that was a felon. One of my
Oh,
best
just
friends.
one?
Yeah, just one.
Really?
Surprisingly. Oh yeah, just one. Not one of my best friends. Two of my best friends, as a matter of fact, are felons and spent time in prison for beating a guy half to death, actually, for raping one of their girlfriends. So they were in kind of with the bigger boys. I know a lot about prison life and kind of what goes on and what doesn't. I've never been, but like it's weird. The guy says that like that wouldn't happen if he claims that happened in the county jail. It didn't. You don't do shit in county jail. You sit in a cell by yourself. You don't move. You don't leave. You sit in one cell all day long. You go out to eat. I mean, you go out to the fucking cafeteria area to eat, and then you're back in your cell. So that shit didn't happen in county. Could it
Now,
happen in a prison? Sure. And does it happen? Sure. But you're telling me that they're just going to let this guy fucking scream out that he's getting raped and they're all going to stand around and not do anything about it? That's kind of weird. They're more of the monster than the rapist.
I don't know. And the only thing I'll say in defense of your friend's experiences versus what I've had recounted to me is that maybe the county prison system in Dayton, Ohio is different than the one in Chicago. That's the only thing I could think to say. And I don't know. I don't know. I have been to jail, but never prison.
No,
And I
they've
hope I
been to
never go.
more county jails. And actually, I don't think my dad's ever been to Dayton. But that's what he says. He'd rather be in prison than jail. Jail is fucking horrible. That's what I've always heard. And I know multiple people that have been to jails, and they're terrible. You just sit there. Anyway, like I said, we'll do prison talk on its own deal one of these days, and like prison justice and things like that. Because I think it is a worthy topic, because people just don't understand how that works really. So they just assume. Again, you do have stories of people that are killed and raped in prison. It's not like it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen to the degree that people think. So somebody like Henry Lucas and Ottis Toole, who are probably getting on top of like the treatment that they're getting from all the people at the prison, all the detectives, all that. They've also probably got a whole fucking fan base that's sending them tons of money, tons of items, and other prisoners will become your best friend because you got money on the outside because they don't have shit coming in. So, they probably weren't treated badly at all. Neither of them died like Jeffrey Dahmer died. They weren't beat to death with the fucking broom handle. They just died because they had other issues. But yes, so back to their false confessions and kind of where this all led. And honestly, kind of why we did this episode. I'm not a big fan of Henry Lucas and Ottis Toole. I mean, I know that sounds weird to be a fan of serial killers, but obviously I've got my preferred stories. I'm a big true crime person, and this just doesn't get me going much because it is kind of just weird and unexciting. But the reason why we brought it up is to kind of fast track us into another episode that I want to do later on down the line. And that is the alleged, the murder of Adam Walsh. Very famously, John Walsh even subscribes to this. Ottis Toole was blamed for that murder. He is the one that's put down as having kidnapped and murdered Adam Walsh. And I, being the rebel that I am, fucking don't think he did it, and I think Jeffrey Dahmer did it. And there's tons of fucking evidence that backs it up. There's tons of evidence that doesn't match with Ottis doing it at all. It's like not even possible that he did it. He wasn't even in the same area, but Dahmer was. And there's so much to it. And I wanted to do an episode on that, on just because Adam Walsh's disappearance is a big fucking deal. If you're already a true crime person, then you already know.
Right.
You know who John Walsh is, right? If you grew up in the '90s, you know who that man is. America's Most Wanted. That's him. You know, this child's murder, as very unfortunate as it was, is a huge stepping stone to better practices that we put in place now. So it does hold its place in true crime history. And I just think that we are doing a disservice to this child by not pinpointing the right killer. And I would like to use my platform to then, say why I think that somebody else did it and show you guys the evidence. And this is why, we're here. But at the end of the day, the police believe that he was that Otis Toole is the one that killed him. So, and that's really, I mean, I'm not going to dive into it right now. You're just going to have to wait for it. But that's really all I got to say about it. Pato, you got anything to say about that particular topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was a parent, I would rather subscribe to the Otis Poole version of events than the Jeffrey Dahmer uh, version of events. How that would have played out versus because Otis just said he chopped him with a machete he fucking punched him, beat him unconscious, which isn't nice to think about happening to your son, but whatever. And then he was killed down by the river. Whereas Dahmer would have done some stuff.
Well, we don't know that for sure. It would have only been Dahmer's second murder.
Well, who knows? Yeah, I mean
Right.
that's obviously what this is all
But I
building
get what
towards.
you're saying.
Another
Just a
topic
lot
for
of,
another day. If
yeah,
something happened to the kid, he's not just wandering around the parking lot looking for the car. Like he gone. Someone took him. Someone killed him. So you got to start thinking about how that went down.
right.
And you're gonna want. It's not a pretty thing to have to entertain,
No.
but you're gonna pick the lesser of two evils. You're gonna pick the less invasive, quicker demise than the one that you know I
As
don't
the
know.
parent, yeah.
Yeah.
As the parent, yeah. I
If you
don't.
had to pick someone to murder your child, unfortunately.
Would it be Otis Toole or Jeffrey Dahmer?
Right. Or Gacy or you know what I mean?
Let's do
Like
a poll. I'm just kidding. That's terrible. It's not.
no, I think that'd be a very interesting Twitter poll for us to put up on the
It
fucking
gets some discussion. Um,
yeah.
because I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, again, just because John Walsh doesn't believe that Dahmer killed his son and that Otis did, it doesn't make it true. You got to think about it that way. He's got a personal bias, and who I don't blame the guy, at all.
But
That
like how did they so are we gonna talk about the discrepancies with the pool stuff? Like how did they lose his car? What's the explanation there? Like they
there
don't
isn't one.
yeah, like what the fuck?
Yeah, the car's
Like
just gone.
the car is part of the crime scene, right? That's when the assault happened. There should have been blood. There should have been tons of evidence, and
Car's gone.
the cops fucking lost it. How do you lose a car? And not like I mean, it was at Hollywood, California. It was like or Florida. It was
It was
a
in
smaller
Florida.
town. So like it's not like Chicago where like you know how many there's like there's several tow yards that the police use. But I mean, this was like a crime scene car. This wouldn't even gone to that. This should have gone to the police station or something. Like
Yeah, he cut the child's head off in the back seat of that car. There
right,
would have been evidence all over the fucking car.
and then the car disappears,
And it's gone.
which means either you're like the worst fucking police ever. Who would have stole it? Why would someone steal a bloody car?
Right.
No,
Exactly.
you lost it on purpose because the crime scene wasn't going to match up with the crime. Okay, so that's the only possible explanation is
And that's
that
not the only case where, they confess to something and the discrepancies are there. I mean,
right,
this
like you
happened
said, there was like
over and
20
over.
something where the DNA doesn't match up. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And, so yes, the car's gone. He couldn't have even I don't remember exactly where he was at the time, but like his last known record, he was in a totally different state. Otis Toole was in a totally different state. And he couldn't have traveled in the time that it would have taken him to go pick this child up and go murder him. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. And the evidence that people did pinpoint, which go back to the Dahmer episode. If you, for whatever reason, haven't listened to it yet, we did touch a little bit more on the evidence there for Dahmer. Not all of it, but Dahmer's dad Dahmer's own father contacted John Walsh and said, "My son killed your son." And John Walsh went, "No, he didn't. Otis
Yeah, it's
Toole
a
did."
weird thing to do. I don't know. Dahmer's
He
dad needs to fucking dial it back a notch. I know his heart's in the
well,
right place, but
not
fucking
really. I mean, not really. It's not. I mean, he wanted him held accountable for all the murders that he did, and that was the one he wouldn't confess to. And we'll deep dive into it more. But there's no evidence at all that says that Otis Toole killed Adam Walsh. There's none. There isn't
right,
any, except
right.
that he claimed that he did it. Now he later recanted and said he didn't actually do it. He lied. He admitted that he lied. So, you know, are you really going to believe the guy that's now confessed to 600 murders and probably and was only convicted of 6? I don't know. Um, but we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. That's a little bit of teaser as to kind of what that's going to look like. It's not going to be the first episode immediately after this, so you're going to have to just listen to other Wednesday episodes in the meantime. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to talk about it. I like a little investigative journalism.
I like it when you're excited.
Well, I like it when you like it when I'm excited. I don't. We're just a bit.
Everybody's winning. Everybody's winning.
Everybody except for Adam Walsh.
Right. Who pays the price for our
I really feel
titillation?
badly for that one. I really genuinely do feel bad for that one.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Hey, again, I want to do the story justice. I don't want it to be all fun and games. It's not a fun and game. It's a very terrible and tragic situation. And that's why I want to talk about it, is because people don't know. And I want you guys to know. So anything else to say about the dynamic duo, Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole, Pato?
The bromance to end all bromances. It's nice to see guys hanging out with guys and getting stuff done. And if we work together, look at everything we can accomplish.
Fair enough.
What
are we still talking? Typically, when people are when they go to prison, sometimes there's an order for them they're not allowed to talk to each other. And probably during the initial investigation, they weren't allowed to, but like eventually once they were convicted, I wonder if they ever, I guess they probably wouldn't even know how to reach out to one another. I mean, how would they know where each other's at to write to them, or like their number, their fucking
maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe there's some of their hoes on the outside could fucking get them that information. I mean, there's
right, go tell them I love them. I don't know.
Yeah,
because you do have other cases of people that do stuff like that. So I don't.
When men are in love and work together, they can take over the world. They can get anything done. Someone you can just hang out with and listen to records and suck each other off and go kill people. And
you can make the fucking Texas Rangers believe that you killed over 200 people even when you didn't. Like, these guys had no fucking education. They outsmarted the fucking Texas Rangers. Yeah, the Texas Rangers should look bad.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily outsmarting as much as they told them what they wanted to hear, or the Texas Rangers might even be complicit. They might have been like, "Hey, look, we're gonna need you to cop to this shit just so we can clear our books, and we're gonna pass you around, and we're gonna send you to Florida, and you're gonna clear some of their books, and we're gonna send you over here, and you're gonna clear some of their books, and
yeah,
we got these wackadoos that it have honestly been prolific killers, but we can ratchet up the hysteria around them and turn them into fucking bigger monsters than they were, and clear some of our paperwork.
Absolutely,
get our numbers up.
Absolutely. Okay.
Or maybe it was the cult. That's something that I wish I had spent more time researching. The cult of the hand or whatever. What is it? The hand of death.
I've got it in my notes. Hold on. The hands of death.
Yeah. So, like, what's that? Like, what was that? There was no hot link on that name.
It's
you know what I mean?
Still out there operating to this day.
Hands of death. Who else was part of? Who else was supposedly part of a cult or something?
The Chicago Rippers.
Yeah. Did we
remember? They were fucked up.
Did we do them yet?
Yeah. That's how you know about them.
No, the Chicago Rippers, dude. Everyone knows who they are. That was like a they were part of a cult. I don't know.
They
I'm
were
not.
like cult amongst themselves. It was the Chicago Ripper crew. It that was the guy knew fucking Gacy. He worked for Gacy.
Yeah, yeah. Same with the Bray. Man, I don't know where I was recently. Something I was doing something, and the Gacy thing came up again, and I was blowing people's minds, telling them about all the connections between Gacy. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. It's nice
Okay.
being in a fog. Every day is a new adventure. The best part about Alzheimer's is all the new friends you meet every day. You know, it's the joke.
That's just you getting old.
It's too much aluminum in my drinking water. That's what it is. It's the fluoride. My pineal glands calcified from the fluoride in
My
the drinking
God.
water.
Well, at least you're drinking your water, though. That's
Right.
important. That's why the internet is filled with drink your water because you need to take your medicine. Anything else? Is that it? Is that all you
Nope.
want to add? Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here next Wednesday.